Hello, and welcome to Meet Me Monday. I am Karma with Lewis Acre Farm, and I am so thankful to have you here with us today. Uh, this is a really special interview that we're showing you today, and I'm just so thankful that you've chosen to be here to get to know our guest. If you are here for the replay, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out to come back and watch after the premiere. So, if you would please take a moment to hit the like and also be sure at the end to go back and leave a comment. If you have questions for our guest, be sure and leave those in the comments section. Leaving it in the chat, the live chat, will possibly be lost and we won't be able to find those questions. So if you'll leave them in the comments section after the video, we can go back and find those and get answers to your questions. And with that, let me go ahead and bring up our guest today. We have Nancy with Our Treasured Home. Nancy also has a second channel, which is, I'm going to probably mess this up. It is Cooking
Dairy
Free and Alpha Gall with Nancy.
Yes.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
I know it
is. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
So, I just want to thank you so much for coming on here and giving us the opportunity to get to know you and find out more about your channels.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoy talking. So,
well, so do I.
I don't know if anybody knows that I enjoy talking.
Well, I enjoy talking as well. As you can tell, I do interviews on Mondays and hang out on Tuesday. And so, anyway, so I just wanted to bring you on here and get to know you as a creator, the person behind the camera, first of all. And then we'll find out a little bit about your channels after we get to know you a little bit. And then, like I said, at the end of the interview, if you would please, in the comment section, leave your questions for Nancy. I'm sure that we can both go back and check out the questions and get some answers for you. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, about your background, maybe a little bit about your family?
Okay. So I will start off. I'm 56. I'm not originally from Ohio. Some people can pick up the accent really well. I'm originally from Virginia. So sometimes when I'm talking, especially when I do the videos and everything, the southern part comes out, especially when I say y'all, because everybody gets it right then and there. I grew up in Virginia and everything, got married, got divorced. I have two sons. One son I live with, the other son, we just have, I don't know what's the word for it, estranged from or whatever because of family issues. Went through domestic violence for 6 years and got out of it. Then, I did everything everybody else wanted me to do as far as jobs go. And after the divorce, I was like, no, I'm going to do what I wanted to do. And I became an EMT. And I did security because I've always wanted to be a cop, firefighter, police officer, something like that. So since by the time I was 28, 29, I had gone out several times for different police departments and fire departments have always missed it by that much. It was a question,
Oh.
the physical thing, and I'm just like, okay. So the next best was to do security and be an EMT. I did EMS for 8 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed every single minute of it. I thank the Lord. It's like, okay, yeah, this is what you want to do. I'm gonna let you do it, but then I want you to come back to what I want you to do. So I did that for 8 years. And the day I stopped doing it was, well, it was not the day I actually stopped. I stopped being on the unit as far as by just me and the driver.
Mm-hmm.
We had gone to get this little old lady. She needed to go to the hospital. She had called 911. She wasn't feeling good. And it was just me and the driver who were going down the steps, and I was doing all right. And my left shoulder just kind of like gave out. And so, we didn't drop her, but I was like, I just looked up and he goes, "Are you okay?" And the lady, she saw my face. She goes, "Are you all right, honey?" I'm like, "I'm okay. We're good. We're going to be real good." So after dropping her off and everything, and his name was Charles, he goes, "What happened?" We're going back to the station. I said, "I don't know. My shoulder just gave out." Not knowing that it was fibromyalgia at the time.
Ooh.
I had a hint about it and everything. So, like, because back in '98, after my divorce, I was working for GNC for a couple of years, and learning about different herbs and vitamins and everything, and different ailments and stuff, and just symptoms all in general about stuff I was going through. And every time I went to the doctor, I would ask about chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, and I go, "Oh, no, you're too young. You're too young." So after
Yeah.
that accident, I made sure that we had three people on the squad, or I could always call the no, call dispatch, ask for assist, and the fire department would come. So kind of like everybody knew something was going on, but nobody. It wasn't even a hush hush thing. It was just like the firefighters, they loved it because it got them out of the station, and they got to go do what they need to do and everything. And I did. We had a lot of times, you know, fire helping us and everything, and rescue. I was doing. It was during 2003. We had a hurricane come. I can't remember the hurricane's name. I want to say Isabel or whatever. It came through Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
and I was working at Olive Garden. And I kept telling the guy, I said, "You need to send people home because this is a bad storm. It's not going to do anything." He goes, "Oh, we can't leave until," I'm like, the power goes out, whatever. I was like, "There's no customers. Nobody's coming out in a hurricane." So finally the power went out, and then we got sent home. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, it was dodging trees on the road to get to my parents' house. So it
Wow.
wasn't till after a few weeks later we had Gaston come through, which was a tropical storm, and it was just supposed to go through, but it stalled. And at that time, I was delivering flowers for a local florist, and I kept telling them, I said, "You need to bring everybody in." I said, "This is bad." I said, "This storm is not moving." And they kept listening to the weather people. I'm like, I'm the one out in it. I see what's happening. And as an EMT, I'm telling you, you are going to put people in danger. Well, he wouldn't listen to me, but I called my sister at her job because, so we have the James River in Virginia, and you live on one side or the other side, and she worked on the west and east of Virginia. It was on this side, and north and south. Well, it's on this side. I called her. I said, and this is like 4 o'clock in the after 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I told her, y'all that live on the other side, if you don't leave now, you will not get across Poet Parkway. The
Mm-hmm.
water is that close to the highway. That's not a low bridge. That's a high bridge. So they knew what I was talking about. So they all went home. It took me what should have been 30 minutes to get back to the job. It took me an hour and a half or more. And by the time it was dark, and I'm like, I don't like going in the water driving at nighttime when it's raining and water like that because you can't
Hmm.
see. And
Right.
I'm gonna tell you from experience, when they say turn around, don't drown, they mean it. Um,
Absolutely.
I got to, it's called Mechanicsville Turnpike, and it's a hill. I mean, it's flat, then it goes down and it comes up. And I'm like, why is that tractor trailer not moving? I mean, there's no water there. And as soon as I said that, somebody's headlights hit shone right on that tractor trailer. He was stuck, and the water was past the bottom of the trailer. So I knew then that water was like 10, 20 feet deep right there. So I turned into the shopping center because it's like, oh, you can go right here. Oh no, that water was all the way up to almost to the doors of the
Oh,
shop.
wow.
So I went around, got back. I let my boss have it, and he agreed. He agreed. He offered to put me up in a motel room, and then I'm like, no, I'm getting home. I know how to get to my parents' house from here. So places that we never saw flooded. I mean, it was unimaginable, and I'm just like, I reached my way around, and I had already called the rescue squad at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and talked to one of the head people there. I'm just like, if you need me, I can drop everything right now. So she calls me at 6:30. I'm in the middle of downtown Richmond. She goes, "Can you make it?" I'm stuck. I'm like, I'm in the middle. And I told her exactly where I was, what street. She goes, "Oh no." She goes, "Oh wait, Parker is flooded." I said, "Yep." I said, "Nobody can use it." So she goes, "All right." So I get to my parents' house, and they told me to stay the night. And I was determined I was going to get back to my apartment because I wanted to go to the rescue squad the next day, which was
Hmm.
my day, volunteer day anyway. So I was like, no. So I knew in my mind what always flooded around my parents' house, what streets, what creeks, and everything. So I knew it was ready to go. But the creek that always floods, that water was further up the road than we've ever seen it before. And it's always behind the houses, and those houses were literally almost, I mean, they're up far enough, but they still had water coming up into those houses. I'm like, oh my goodness. So Hall Street Road, if y'all want to look it up, and it's Route 360, um, you go down, it's called Falling Creek, and it runs underneath part of the road. Well, it never floods, and if it does, it's not really over the road or anything. So when we get there, I'm in a van. I'm like, okay. I said, this doesn't look too bad. And so in my mind, I'm thinking it's not too bad. And as an EMT, I'm telling myself to turn around and go back to my parents' house. And, I'm making that little argument in my head. So I was like, as long as the person in front of me doesn't stop, because the police officers have blocked the other side. And I said, boys, hang on. And we were going through, and the person started to put their brakes on. And I laid on my horn. I was like, don't, I'm yelling, don't stop. We got
Hmm.
through it. And I'm like, anybody that has a van knows that at least when it's up off the ground, a good
Right.
foot or so. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, that water was halfway up my door. And I'm like, never again. I'm
How
like,
your engine didn't just take
that
in
was
water and die.
that was the Lord and the angels watching because I was praying and
Absolutely.
I
I
was
have
just get me through
goosebumps.
this, Lord.
I
Yep.
literally have goosebumps, and it's not this freezing cold air in here.
But we got through it, and I was like, never again. And I told him, till this day, I tell my son, I ever come across water like that, turn around, don't chance it. We've been through that too, once and seen it too many times and everything. So we got home. It was safe. And I went out the next day, and the same guy, Charles, he was driving. He showed me the devastation and the stuff that he goes, Nancy, he goes, I've never seen water this high. He goes, I've lived here all my life. I said, so have I. It's like, we've never seen it like that. And it has never happened again. But I can tell you from experience, when I sit there and say, I understand, I know what they're talking about, when they say, turn around, don't drown, I lived it myself. And I did it myself, thinking, oh, it's not that high. I've got a van or you got a truck or whatever. It doesn't matter. It takes 6 inches of water to move your vehicle. And when it's 100 feet of water, you better just, you don't know how deep that water is. 100 feet will wash you away. And Charles did tell me the one rescue that they were all on, the girl would not get out. He goes, the firefighters in the boat were right there. All she had to do was reach out their hand. They would have pulled her, but she cared more about her car than saving her life. And she just went. And when the water receded, they never found the car. I was like, no, because that creek goes actually to the river, and the James River runs all the way down to Chesapeake Bay, and the bay goes into the ocean. So
Wow.
that was a lot of sad stories came out of that, but a lot of good stories came out of it too. And
Yeah.
I think they've learned emergency management. Learned that day. Okay, a storm. Don't listen to like the weather people. Watch the
Hmm.
storm. If it doesn't seem like it's moving and you see water rising so many feet, it's time to change positions and I don't know, like get emergency management take over.
Right.
So and then
Well,
go ahead.
hearing this story is it just solidifies in my mind that I am so grateful that I live where I do. Um, I live in a high desert. Um, the worst that we have had weather wise was in 2016-17 when we had Snowmageddon,
Mm-hmm.
and all that it was an enormous dump of snow in the valley to where a lot of people were off work for about 3 weeks.
So I'd rather have the snow any day.
Yeah, and
Clear snow.
people were actually staying off the roads, and they were actually slowing down when they started seeing all the accidents. But the roads were bad enough, even though the road crews were doing double time at trying to keep the roads clear. People were actually slowing down and actually driving sane, and they were still, even if they were only going like 5 or 10 miles an hour, they were still sliding off the road. And so people were literally staying home and not
Exactly.
going to work. And people's roofs were being damaged from the sheer amount of snow and melt off. And that's the worst that we ever had that I can recall. And I've lived in Idaho, in southwest Idaho, all but 7 years of my life, and I'm 54.
Oh yeah.
So if that's the worst that we get weather wise, I'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah, I would rather have the snow any day than the rain, than anything like that. The hurricane weather. Mm-mm. But I'm just like tornadoes. I don't like them either, but still, that's better than the hurricane and than the water. And
Oh
then
yeah.
so I did that for a while. Well, first, I want to back up and say, I am born again. I have the Lord as Jesus, my Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
I asked Him into my heart when I was 6, and then when I was 13, I was like, "Why not? Do I really do that? Was it just emotions or anything?" So at 13, I was saved again and everything. Have I lived a Christian life all my life? No, I haven't. But in the last 14, 15 years, I have learned more uh, about the Bible, my walk with the Lord, and everything that I ever did going to a Christian school and a Baptist church. So I will tell people I watch Joseph Prince a lot. I've got a lot of his books. Some people don't like them. Some people don't like Joyce Meyer. To me, if you're getting the word in that's based on that Jesus died for your sins and rose from the grave in 3 days and lives in heaven at the right hand of God, and that's where they're based their teachings on, find someone that does that. And if you're learning,
As
stay there.
long as it lines up with the Word of God and it's not adding to or taking from.
Exactly.
You know, you have to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling before God. And it's a personal relationship for a reason. It's not somebody else's walk with God, it's your own
Exactly. And that's what it's not about religion, it's about
relationship.
it's about relationship. Yes, there's do's and don'ts. The Lord sits there and tells us things to keep us safe, not because He doesn't want us to have fun. And I'll show you, as a born again believer Christian, we can have fun.
Oh, absolutely. There's lots of ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then what else would you like me to talk about?
So, what are some of your hobbies?
Okay.
Like, is there anything that would totally surprise our listeners, our viewers, to know about you?
I wrote a book.
You wrote a book?
I am a published author. I keep forgetting to get the link, but it's on Amazon, and I will get the link and put it in the replay.
Leave a comment and I'll pin it.
Okay.
At the end of the interview, post the comment with the link and I will pin it.
Yeah, I only sold one copy, but that still counts as a published author.
Absolutely.
And so I'm self-published on that because it's on Amazon. Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle of writing another book. I have that start. I got like 10 pages, but I put that to the side for a little bit because I'm working on the, Our Treasure Home and the Cooking Dairy Free and Alpha Golf with Nancy. And then I'm sewing, I'm crocheting. I'm learning how to use Kittle, which is the next, thing like render. Oh, it's not like render forest, but making logos and different little things.
Oh, okay.
And that's all free. So, but learning how to do that and watching videos, and some of their videos are an hour long. So that's like, then I started to think, and I was like, okay, I need some watch hours because I've been doing YouTube for 7 years. Mm-hmm. And I got to my 3,000 hours last March, February, March. And it seemed after that, the hours kept going down and down. So I got them built back up over 2,000, but I'm just like, okay, I need to change some things. I was going through a lot of health issues and everything. So some things got put on the back burner. So now I do Monday nights is just like a general, on Our Treasure Homes, just like a general talk about crochet and everything. Wednesdays are kind of like a spinoff from Heather at Milk and Honey Homestead and Gail from Gail Southern Living. They're Healthy Goal Wednesdays. So Wednesdays I talk about my healthy goals, what I'm doing and everything, how much weight I've lost. Saturday nights I do a Bible study on Our Treasure Home because I was doing the same thing you do. I was talking about the names of God. And Dan had asked me, are you going to get back to doing that? And this was like a year ago. And I'm like, yes, but I just hadn't done it. And then I was like, okay, I can do these nights because I can do late night. My thinking late nights because not all my viewers are Eastern time.
Right.
I've got people who are an hour behind me, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours ahead of me. And in between and everything, I said, well, just do late night. You can sleep in the morning like you usually do and everything. So that's how this all started. So with the Saturday night, I was like, okay. I said, all right, Lord. I said, I'm going to pray about this. I said, I want you to tell me what I should do for Bible study on Saturday nights. And I was like, I can take up the names. God, he goes, nope. It was the biggest no I've ever heard. He goes, and I have things I was going through, and I made 15 points because I was going to type it all up and everything, put it in a pamphlet and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I could do that. He goes, so I had the notebook, and he goes, and I was looking at things and different, and it's like something just, my finger went right to it. I'm like, oh no, not that. That was like a really bad,
Anything but that, God.
anything but that. That was a really bad time. And things I can't talk about. He goes, do that. I said, yes, sir. I have come to a point in my life now when the Lord says, do it, I follow through. When my Father in heaven says, I've got this for you, I've got something for you, but I need you to do this for me first, I listen because I've learned when I follow his prompting, when I follow his leading, that Holy Spirit sits there and says, do this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I don't know why. But he goes, last week I was talking about it and giving a little thing at the end about what was going to be for this week. And I said, the Lord just sat there and told me, someone needs it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, that's all he said. I was like, okay, I'm going to go through these 15 points and we're going to be on part 3 this Saturday. So on
Wonderful.
Friday nights, I do lives on the cooking channel.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, this one's just getting started. I need to start doing lives for that. And I was like, I got all kinds of ideas and stuff I want to do. So how our treasure home started was that Stringfield Ridge Farm, Teresa and Lee, and they used to go live on Friday nights, like 8 years ago or so. And we, chatting with them, talking and everything. And they were talking about lasagna one night. And I was like, oh, we have lasagna because they all knew that we were dairy free because of Anastasia. And my granddaughter was born with a dairy allergy. So they're like, well, how do you have lasagna if you can't use like red cottage cheese and
Mm-hmm.
regular dairy stuff? I said, oh, it's easy. And I start typing it in. And then Teresa goes, wait a minute. She goes, Nancy, why don't you do a video? Start your channel. She goes, you can teach people how to cook dairy free. And I'm like, okay. And we were in the midst of moving from where we were to where we are now. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. I said, after we moved and get settled in, I'll start. So November of 2018, I start making videos. And the phone I had back then, it was not the greatest phone. So there are part 1s and parts 2s because back then and we didn't have these apps like UCut and YouTube Create and the other ones to where you can put the
Right.
videos together now. So that's how our treasure home started, and then it expanded um, because I was gardening in 2019, and then in 2020 and 2021. But I know I was like Shed Wars was out back then, and so I was involved with that, and then like 3 years I just couldn't do it because my back would just give out, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't working. And for 2 years, I took all the containers, cleaned them out, we flipped them upside down and everything, and decided I just can't at this point in time because my health was just like not the greatest. And so last year, 2024, and then with the food prices going up and everything, and I talked to my son and daughter-in-law. I said, well, I'm gonna start gardening again. I said, at least I can grow. I know things I can grow. And then I got the Back to Roots organic soil, and I got Miracle Grow organic soil, and that is two. I'm telling you, are the worst ever. Nothing grew. I was like, I was so disappointed. So I was like, okay. So then I got seeds from so many people. I used to win seeds, and I still win seeds all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that just always, every time I win something like that, I'm okay, all right, Lord. You know the secret desires of our hearts, our needs and wants. I said, I want seeds, but I need this. And it's like, here comes the seeds. I'm like, okay, you have more than, well, you see what I don't see. That's fine. I need, so I bought seeds this year and everything. And I got happy frog soil. And I was like, this is a soil that I'm used to seeing. And with all that nice, dark, rich soil with the perlite, all the stuff in it that needs to be in it. And I was like, you talking about exceedingly abundantly the Lord provides. We've got my yellow pear tomato has grown. We got like six. It's loaded with tomatoes right now. I'm just
Uh-huh.
waiting for them to turn. The banana pepper, we've gotten seven off of them, and it's still loaded now. And I was like, okay.
No.
I was just like, I go out there and talk to the plants. I sing to them and everything. So it's like, I was just like, thank you, Lord, because I was like, I want to see a good harvest this year. You know, we work
Mm-hmm.
hard to replant our seeds and everything. And I think that's a good lesson also when God says plant the seed. You know, sometimes we'll see that harvest and sometimes we do not. So part of that is because I planted four, five, no, probably about six sunflower seeds. Two of them from my sunflower from last year. The other one is from sunflower where I bought. And I'm like, and each one has gotten maybe 2 inches tall. And then,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, what's going on? You know, I don't know if it was the landscaping people pulling it or if it was the birds pulling it or whatever, because I'm not going to sit outside 24/7 just to watch. But I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's just dormant for a reason, and then next year it just pops right on up.
Yeah.
So that's how our treasure home started. With was, you know, they asking me, how do you cook dairy free? So
So, how did you choose the name for that channel?
okay, when we first started, it was called Ashes Treasure, and that was Anastasia's initials because it was more for her, so she know how to garden, how to cook dairy free, and everything. So when they I don't know if it was when they said YouTube said you could change your name or something other, but I started wanting to do more. I wanted to do the Bible study. I was doing safety awareness things, the
Mm-hmm.
gardening and everything, and I'm like, well, you know, maybe I should change it up a little bit. So I started writing down different names and everything, and I kept treasured in it or treasure, and I was like, home. And then finally, like it just like came in our treasure home. As what do you treasure at home? You know, we treasure
Okay.
a lot of things, and treasuring possessions and everything. There's nothing wrong with that because God always has said that I came to give you life and give it to you more abundantly. Now,
Right.
they can be material things, they can be spiritual things, they can be family things, they can be friends, but you know, life abundantly is a wide range of things, and he does that more than once in the Bible. So it's like, okay, because he says if we ask, he can do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask, think, you know, or imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm asking big. You better ask big because I'm asking big. So that's how that started. And with the cooking and everything. Now, there were some years, especially with my hands, were really bad that I did a lot of just talking videos because at one point I had my hands wrapped up in ace bandages because of the alpha gall. And it was August and I'm standing there in the kitchen. We had just, I say the hamburgers and then we were cooking roast or vice versa. And I just looked and I'm like, is that what's going on? And Karma, I'm like, it'd be like you standing right beside me and tapping me on the shoulder. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, well, it was like the Holy Spirit just going, look, there's your issue. I'm like, is that the issue? And it's like, he just sit there and there's your issue. 30 days, I stopped eating all kinds of beef or pork. Well, we stopped eating pork, but any bacon and everything. And in 30 days, my hands cleared up. Now,
Wow.
for 2 years, 2.5 years, every time I went to tell what I did, the Lord goes, not yet. I could not speak it. And I'm like, but people need to know. He goes, no, not yet. So within the last year, maybe a year and a half, I've been able now. I'm like, okay, you'll let me know when I can tell people what I did. And one day I opened to talk about it, and then I did a Daniel fast. I fasted no meat whatsoever. I had vegetables. I did beans for protein and everything because I wanted to see what was going on. So I said, cut out all meat for 30 days, and my hands healed. And I'm telling you, that was a miraculous healing because I have it on the channel, but my hands were cracked right through here and split
Mm-hmm.
right through here. And I was like, there's times I just cried myself to sleep. I'm like, I don't want to lose my hands. I said, Lord, please help I don't want to lose my hands. And when just looking at that, and I was like, okay. So we start looking up about what kind of thing could cause having a reaction to eating beef products. I mean, I've eaten beef all my life. Did
Mm-hmm.
I know that the tick bite in 2017 had caused this issue? I didn't put it together. So in July of 2017, we went to the park, got home, checked, missed the tick, found it the next day, didn't think anything of it. August, like a month later, my hands would, do things, be like little blisters, and then
Mm-hmm.
it go away. And then it come back and it go away. And that's, well, we're eating chicken and then rotate different things. And then we would cut out the pork and we were just doing beef products and chicken. Well, the beef wasn't getting out of my system that fast. And I'm just like, wow. So alpha gall is from a tick bite. So people only think of Lyme disease when they think of ticks and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
there's more than just that and alpha gall. But it what causes an allergy to red meat and other symptoms. Um, Now my symptoms when it started, I did like okay, we would have like so Chinese beef and broccoli, and within halfway through the meal, I'm just like I can't catch my breath. And I'm like, I knew I was having reactions, so I had to take a Benadryl. But within that period, it sometimes it's right then and there, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the allergy, it could be up to 3 days before you have a reaction. So that's why people don't put together that you
Okay.
have a reaction to a food. I am going to do another series on. I'll start it on next Wednesday. I'm starting it again about the allergies, but it'll be like little blisters. So, well, you can see the hives right
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
here. Me being me, I like to test things out and be my own guinea pig. It's like, all right, let's see if I can. My system cleared up and everything. Let's see. Sure, I tried eating beef again last week and the week before, and I knew better, but I was like, let's try this and see what happens. Sure enough, a few days later, this pops up. So I know now. I'm like, I just cannot have the beef whatsoever, and so I eat turkey burger and chicken, and sometimes that gets really boring.
Yeah. It would.
But just like with hamburger, regular hamburger, you ground beef. It's like okay, spaghetti, lasagna, hamburgers. What else can you do? Meatballs, and it's like the same old thing. So I'm always trying to come up with something different when it comes to cooking with the turkey burger.
Well, you could always make casseroles and
Oh yeah, definitely. So
um,
I was like, okay, so that's what started to changing with the cooking and everything. Dairy
so I have a
free.
question for you. Is it all red meats or is it just beef?
Actually, alpha gone. The foods to avoid with alpha gall is beef, pork, lamb, venison, rabbit, goat, horse, anything that has four legs, four hooves, rabbit, you name it, I can't have it. So
Wow.
that includes lamb, deer, buffalo, anything like that. So it's like I can have fish, but I just don't like fish. But I guess I need to learn to like fish.
Yeah. I'm in that same group there because I really don't care for fish at all, unless it's fixed just right.
Yeah,
Um, and that's hard to come by. And I won't cook it. I can't stand the smell of it.
I know. The same here. We like shrimp, but
Oh
shrimp is kind
yeah.
of expensive, so we haven't ate that for a while. And then, like I said, so I try to change things up to where it's not always just chicken and turkey. That there are other vegetable dishes you can do and everything. So, and then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which I knew I had, but back in 2002,
Hmm.
2001, 2002. So, and I knew I had that. And for a long time, I couldn't figure out why every time I ate red tomatoes and potatoes and everything, I felt so lousy afterwards. And I was like, now I know because with fibromyalgia, it's the inflammation, while those foods increase inflammation. So that's why I planted the yellow pear tomato because I wanted to see would that flare that information up? And it didn't. So I'm like super excited about having tomatoes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. There's even white tomatoes
Yes. So I bought some more
and
seeds.
green tomatoes. There's tomatoes that actually, when they're ripe, they're still green.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I ordered some seeds from my gardener because he had a yellow tomato and an orange tomato. And I was like, well, since I did all right with that banana pepper, I ordered a yellow pepper because I was like, now here comes the experiment again. Let's see. So that's how all that started with the food and everything, and then I was like, so that's how my hands cleared up. I was like, oh, and I did a lot of research when it came to the Daniel fast because you know there's different people say fasting in 3 days or whatever, and he did it for 21. But there's different things you can do, um,
Hmm.
and I chose to do the meat because I love food. I'm just like, as much as I was like, I've tried to do a 24-hour fast and everything, I just can't because my body is not made that way. So
Yeah.
I was like, to me, if you, I fast, social media, we do that, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, 24 hours, turn your phone off, just get a book, get a Bible, something that, maybe you've been wanting to read. And it don't have to be the Bible, it could be a book somebody wrote. My favorite books of all time is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle,
Hmm.
Sherlock Holmes, Nancy Drew. I love those books. I
Yeah.
even got Murder She Wrote, so I'll sit there and I'll read and everything. So that's how our treasure home came on and doing my hand lotions and everything because Anastasia has severe eczema, but she was born with that because of her dairy allergy. So we got into making our own lotions and everything, and I guess you can say it's apothecary. I just say it's just making my own stuff. So and that's on the
Well,
channel.
there's a dairy goat farmer um, right there in Ohio that you should look into. Uh, It's he raises his goats, milks them, raises the herbs and stuff that he's going to put into his soap, buys only the top quality fragrances and oils to put into his soap, limited ingredient. And there's people who have purchased his soaps um, that have eczema and other skin issues who claim that um, after using his soap, their skin issues have completely cleared up. And it's Zion Creek Farm, and he's in Thornville, somewhere over in that. It's a little tiny burg,
Okay. Yeah.
somewhere
Well,
over in there. Anyways, Zion Creek Farm, and he has an Etsy shop,
okay.
and you ought to look into that. See, I love his soaps. In fact, I've given some away on my Tuesday night Gab Fest. Um,
Cool. Yeah. The only thing with that is that when Anastasia was 18 months old, the doctor that she went to, um, the Nationwide Children's Hospital here, it's just kind of like really weird how they do things. But they have different clinics. When she never saw the same doctor, so this one
oh,
try on goat cheese. So we did, and we ended up in the ER, and her face ballooned up so much and everything. And the ER, they gave her Benadryl, and it's like we have to wait. We can't give her an epi shot because they wanted to see if the Benadryl would work first. And so yeah, and that doctor was like, "Here's the thing that got me." Is we had a fire station maybe 6 blocks from us. We went there first, and and the paramedic goes, "Oh, just take her home and keep an eye on her." I'm like, "She can't breathe, and her face is turning red." And by that time, they knew I was mad, and I just looked at my son and daughter-in-law. I said, "Let's just go home," and that's all I said, because somebody was going to get hurt because they weren't doing their job. And I drove
mhm.
him to Nationwide Children's Hospital ER, and they took her back immediately because they saw what was going on. And when I was finally able to go back there, I told the doctor what happened. He goes, "And what fire station was that?" And I told him, and because he could figure out who was on duty at that time. He goes, "You don't have to worry about anything. I'm calling him reporting." So they got reported for not doing their job. This child was going into anaphylactic shock, and they just sit there and say, "Take her home." And I finally told the doctor after he said that, I said, "Good, because I was EMT for 8 years. I know what I'm talking about." So yeah, so goat products and all that. So the question for right now, and I say right now because Anastasia's 11. She made the choice. She wants to be a normal kid. So they're doing the immunology
Mhm.
stuff with milk and everything to help get her body saying, "Oh, she has the itching," but so her body was saying, "Oh, okay, this is not as bad as I thought it was. We're good to go." So and
Right.
they just started. So they said by next May, if she gets up to the maintenance dose, she'll be good. She'll be good. She can, but once she's there at that point, don't say, "Oh, now I can have regular like candy bars or chocolate milk or um, pizza rolls or whatever, ice cream and everything." In 3 months, don't have it because then the allergy will flare right back up. So
Right.
she said she told her dad, um, when she gets to that maintenance phase and she's good to go and everything, one of the first few things is she wants a donut because Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme, they use milk. So she wants donut and she wants a regular pizza from Domino's. I mean, yeah, Domino's.
That's awesome.
So I was like, that's so cool. So she's doing excellent. She's doing so well with that. I'm like, I tell people, when we pray for healing, yes, God can do that miraculous healing, heal you completely. And sometimes He
Absolutely.
does it in different ways, just to have us as a testimony to say, hey, this is what the Lord is doing. And I've seen people miraculously healed and
Hmm.
stuff, healed and everything. And I've seen people, He just walks us through a different way and everything to say, this is how you trust God in the process.
Right.
So, and I have been, and ever since she was born, I'm like, pray for her healing. I know the Lord is going to heal her. I know He's going to do it, but He's doing it in a way that we don't think. We think, oh, one day she's going to wake up and not have that allergy no more. But no, and see, Joseph Prince has a sermon about this: the right place, right time. And
Hmm.
I honestly believe that because the right time was her 11 years old, right doctor, because they switched allergists, and the right things to do because say if she started this 6 years ago, it may not have worked.
Right.
But now with technology and the progress they made in medicine, they know what works. So maybe those were the trial periods and everything to get to this point that now Anastasia can do this and Anastasia can get to where she can have regular dairy. So I just love the process. I was like, oh, so and that's kind of like me. But before I say that, I was wanting to tell you how the cooking channel came about. So
Okay.
Smoky Mountain Blast, Joy and Dining, they have 4 different channels. But she did a giveaway, her 5K giveaway, and she gave a trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. They paid for the
Hmm.
hotel's room. Whoever won, they would pay for the hotel room, but you had to get there. Well, Cynthia from Cynthia's Crafts and More and I were the top 2 commenters through YouTube because it tells you who's the top commenter. So her and I tied. So we both won the trip. So we were all talking about the times and everything and the dates and everything. So it was May 19th through the 22nd. So, and Joy and she'd been throwing this idea around for a couple months before May and everything. She goes, you have a niche. She goes, your cooking is a niche. You need to separate that from a treasure home. She goes, you can still do our treasure home because all the other things that you do will be at home. She goes, but change the cooking to something separate. I'm like, oh man, that's a lot of work. And I put it off and I put it off. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of work. Chicken Nancy, you're making videos already. You're just gonna put it separately on something else instead of the same one. I'm like, okay. So when I got to Gatlinburg and everything. We were there for I was there for 2.5 days and everything, and we talked about it. And she, explained. Joy knows exactly what she's doing and everything. And she goes, "This is what you do," and everything. So when I got back, I was like, "Okay, Lord, you're not going to let this go. You're not going to let her let this go until I do it." And that's how, and we had talked about names and everything. And she goes, "I thought I texted you a name." I said, "I can't find it." I said, "But then you say something like cooking dairy free and alpha gall or something like that." She goes, "I think it was." I said, "You know what? I'm going with it. I'm going with that name, cooking dairy free and alpha gall, because it's specifically to what we eat and how we eat and what we cook and
Hmm.
how I got to cook it and everything. And that's how the name came about. I'm already doing cooking videos. I just changed it to a different channel
Right.
that's a niche for that specific person, for specific reason. Because she said everybody, you know, maybe just looking for the cooking, not looking at everything else. And you have different, you know, genres. I was like, yeah, I already have 136 subscribers. So I was like, all right, that's growing.
That is awesome. So when did you start the second channel? How long have you had it running?
A month. I think it's been a month.
Just a month and you're already at 136?
Let's see here. Because I did videos first. 2 months ago.
2 months. Wow. That just shows you how important what you're doing is and how many people are looking for that type of content.
Right. Because it's not vegetarian, it's not vegan, it's dealing with food allergies. Now, and some of I try to make sure I tell people you can substitute this for this. And
Mhm.
how that started because when Anastasia was born, they I wasn't there when they first feed her. I said, if I'm not there and they come and telling you that she's throwing up the milk that they given her, tell them to switch her to soy because she has a dairy allergy. No, so we didn't find out my son had a milk intolerance and stuff until he was 17 years old. So he dealt with a lot of stuff for years and everything. And it just frustrated me because every time I asked his pediatrician, let's do an allergy test. Oh, no, we don't need to do that. We know what the problem is. He was born with the sphincter muscle at the end of your esophagus, not didn't close all the way. And
Mhm.
so everything he ate would just come back up. And I was just like, no, I said, there's something else going on besides that. But the doctors never wanted to fix it. So he had dealt with that all his life. But he found out when he was like 17, 16, 17, if he ate hot sauce, everything stayed down. So he would start putting hot sauce on everything he ate. And now he sits there and says ghost pepper tastes like ketchup because his palate is so strong now that he
Mhm.
has to, make it hotter for him. But he puts hot stuff at they got stuff in there that makes it really spicy and everything. But that's still how he keeps his food down. It just makes it spicy. No, I used to love
That's
spice.
weird.
I eat more.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. There was a time when I could eat the real spicy foods, but now it's I don't mind a little bit of heat, but I don't want it very spicy.
Oh, exactly. So
So, it's so frustrating when you go to a doctor that refuses to listen to you. I mean, who knows your body better than you, except
exactly,
except for God, the one who created
exactly.
you, you know? Um, and it's just a matter of pure arrogance. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told they don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. And talking about the right place and right time with the right doctor because my regular doctor, my general practitioner, family
Mhm.
doctor, and everything, I saw, 2017, and then I didn't realize that in 2021, actually the insurance and all changed and everything. And I was like, I don't have this. So why do they keep sending me this mail and come to find out, And so now I have insurance that covers everything. So that's why I started going to him, and I was like, okay, I want to find out what's going on, why I pass out. And he goes, what do you mean? So I was talking to friends years ago, and she goes, write down what she goes, have he always been your doctor? I'm like, no. I'm like, only since 2017. She goes, Nancy, he doesn't know your medical history. I'm like, oh, yeah. Light bulb goes off. So I took 2 weeks. I was going back to him in 2 weeks, and I started typing. And it's like I started typing everything that I can remember since I was a kid, what I had. I had this thing it was called the fifth disease. It's not called that now, but it's like a heat rash, and I forgot how
Mhm.
you get it. But it's supposed to be on the outside of your arm. Mine was on the inside and on the palm of my hands. Now, if I get too hot, that rash will show up, but I don't have it no more. You only like contagious for like 7 days or so. When I was on
Uh-huh.
medicine,
I've
so
heard of it, but I couldn't remember what it was.
and I don't remember exactly without looking it up. So I'm typing that, and all this. I'm like, all these things now start coming back or what? Because I would forget when I'm trying to tell something. So I'm typing it all down and everything. Ended up with 3 pages, and I emailed it to him. And he emailed me, he goes, I wish I had more patients like you who would write things down, and so I would know exactly where we could go from this. So that was in 2021 and started with all kinds of tests, um, x-rays, MRIs, and everything. They done a brain scan without and with contrast because they were thinking maybe I was having seizures.
Mm-hmm.
It started when I was 14 years old, and it probably started before then, but really when I was 14 years old. And um, what would happen is if I had well, they blamed it on my menstrual cycle, you know. And if it was heavy, oh, it's just your estrogen, progesterone going up and down and everything. That's why you pass out. Then it was because of my weight. Then it's because I was having kids or it's stress or
It's always
it's
something that
always
they
something
can't
else.
explain.
Yes. So they try to explain it away. And I'm just like, what if this happens while I'm driving? Because at one when I was in South Carolina, I was in a lot of stress. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, I pulled over, calmed myself down, and got home. So I told him all these things that were going on. He goes, I don't think so. I'm like, okay. So then we had the EKG, the EEG, you name it. I've had the brainwave things tested on my head. He goes, there's no seizures, no strokes. He goes, you've had none of that. So it's not epilepsy or anything else. So with the EEGs or whatever of the heart and everything, I went for those, and he sent me to a cardiologist. So the first, I went in there, and he was like, he was kind of rude at first and everything because I know how to look up the test. I know what to look at and what the results are and everything. And he was like, well, this looks normal. And I said, well, what about this? And I start naming it off and everything else. And see,
Mm-hmm.
his son was with me because he was taking me to the doctors. And this doctor, he got really frustrated. He was like, well, fine. He goes, we'll put an external heart monitor on there for 7 days, and we'll see if we can come up with something. Well, he was trying to, like, agreeing with my son, it was all in my head and everything else. I'm like, this is not in my head. This has been going on for too long. So I was
Mm-hmm.
53 at the time, and they kept saying it was stress. I'm like, I'm not stressed about anything. Well, come on, you know. So
You're stressing me out.
I know, I was like, you're stressing me out. So a week goes by, and I send it in and everything. I don't hear anything. So 2 weeks later, about 3 weeks later, I finally get a call from his nurse profusely apologizing. She said, he is so sorry. He ended up coming down with COVID. And I was like, oh, so he had that while I was seeing him, but y'all ain't going to sit there and call the patients and let them know. She goes, no, we thought we called everybody. I'm like, that's okay. She goes, but he wants to apologize. He goes, it shows there's something wrong with your heart. She goes, it stops for 3 to 4 seconds, starts up some PVCs, and then goes back into a normal rhythm. He goes, you need a pacemaker now. I'm like, okay. She goes, that doesn't upset you? I said, no, it's the answer I've been looking for 40, almost 40 years. She goes, what? I'm like, yeah. She goes, okay. So the problem was the insurance company. They said they didn't have enough information. I'm like, oh
You
my
had
God.
how many tests and been searching for how long, and
Yeah,
they don't have enough information.
exactly. So he sends me to his, I guess it's his partner, but the other doctor that specifically does things and everything. She's a cardiologist, but does more. And I was supposed to see her June of 20, 23, and they canceled because I was supposed to go in and have a loop recorder, but the insurance didn't pay for it. Won't going to pay for it. I happened to have an episode in June of that year, and my table where it's at right here was underneath where that shelf is right there,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a white shelf there. So actually, I think I have it on. I do have a video about it on our treasure home or a clip or something or another. And I always felt like if I ate something, I can eat rice 1 minute, I'm fine. The next minute, it feels like something's stuck right here in the middle of my chest. And it could be soup, it could be liquid, it could be anything. And I got up because I was like, I know I was drinking water and I was fine. I'm like, I'm going to pass out. And I'm on a Discord, like a Zoom call with two other people, sewing and everything. I stand up, and the next thing I hear is them yelling for my, and it happened to be, see, Friday and Saturday, a Saturday, because my son and daughter-in-law were home from work, and they're yelling and screaming for someone to come down. And I hear my daughter goes, "Are you all right?" And I wake up. I'm like, "No, I'm not." And I'm like, my left arm was like under my head like this, and I'm on my left side, and I couldn't move. And my son comes around the corner, and he's like, "Oh no." He goes, I said, "Just pull me to my right side. I can get myself up." He goes, "You tripped over the cord." I'm like, "No, I did not trip over the cord of the sewing machine, but the sewing machine did land on me." I'm like, I passed out. And they told them too. They said she didn't trip over nothing. She stood up and out she went. So September of that year, I was like, okay. It took me a couple of days to recover and everything. I said, we really need to know what's going on. So September, I go see the second cardiologist, and she goes, it's kind of canceled probably on both ends because I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth what was going on. So I told her and everything. She goes, how long has this been going on? I said, since I was 14. She goes, let me tell you something, dear. She goes, ain't nothing. It ain't because you're a female, it's your heart. She goes, it's probably genetics. So what we're going to do is she wrote the order correctly. They put the loop quarter in. We had to have that in for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So put
Mhm.
that in November. The day after Christmas, um, a couple of days after Christmas, her the nurse calls. She goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "Your heart stopped. Did you feel anything? What were you doing?" And so that was like the 28th because she said this happened on the 26th. I'm like, I was probably and specifically what time it happened. It was 10:33 in the morning. I was probably coming down the stairs from getting my granddaughter up out of bed. I was like, I wasn't really doing anything. She goes, okay. She goes, oh my God, is you okay? She goes, if you feel anything, go to the emergency room. She's panicking, and I'm just like, this ain't nothing new for me. so, so in January, her physician assistant called. He goes, you need a pacemaker. I'm like, yeah, I know. He goes, you're not panic about this. It's like I've been dealing with this for 40 years. I was like, it's time for us to get, something going. So they scheduled it for February of 2024 because it had turned to
Uh-huh.
2024, and it was the 6th or 7th of February, and went in and did everything. And I told him, I said, I'm allergic to all narcotics. Don't give me any. And my son has watched me die and come back, and I said he don't want to see that again. They go, what? And I explained to him what happened and everything. And that's another testimony that I do have on the channel. And I'm just like, they said, all right. So they figured out what they could use to sit there because they normally use narcotics to sit there, like morphine and everything, to put people to sleep, whatever. So they figured out what to do. And I woke up, everything was fine and everything. And she comes in and laughing and joking and everything. And he goes, well, she can't stand by the microwave. She goes, what you talking about? She goes, these things are new now. You can do everything you can do. After 3 weeks, we give you the all clear and everything. You can stand there in a microwave and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she did say, she goes, this was a genetic problem that nobody caught it, or if they knew, they didn't want to do anything about it.
Oh my goodness.
So I told her, I said, here's a testimony for you. And I told her, I said, give him, Lord Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. When a doctor believes that, because you can see their eyes light up. and
Mm-hmm.
everything, but they can't really say they are in certain situations. I said, Joseph Prince talks about right time, right place, and right timing. And I'm going to tell you, right time, right place, right doctor, because I honestly believe if this had happened 10, 15 years ago, I would not have might still be here. Or something other would have happened with the pacemaker or something. And she goes, the way the pacemakers now are made now, and the one that I have is one that she helped develop, are so different than the ones 10, 15 years ago. And she goes, I honestly believe you're right. She goes,
Wow.
that is the God way got you to this point so you can have the right type of pacemaker for your heart. And she goes, it's but some people it lasts 10 years. She goes, yours will last 15 years easy. I was like, okay.
That's great.
So
So you mentioned that you had a near-death experience, and you have a video about that on your channel.
I do have a video about that. Um, but I can say, I'll tell y'all right now. All right. Back in Virginia, I used to be a bail bondsman, and I was looking for someone who owed me money. I had my grandfather's 22 revolver, and that thing was 80 years old, and that was back in 2007.
Oh
So this
wow.
gun was old. It was not an antique, but nobody even used it really. It was just for show. So I had gone out to the local gas station and to stop to get something to drink, something to eat, and everything. Wasn't really working per se, but just riding around and everything. And I had an inside holster. Went to the bathroom, went to pull my pants up, and the gun slipped. And I went to grab it, and I missed it. So it hit the floor like this. It
Hmm.
bounced and then flipped. So when it flipped, it backfired. And we still don't know how that happened because the revolver, the holder was bent. So when the bullet came out, it was bent. I was like, all right. So I jumped up on the toilet to cover my head because I was like, I don't want it to hit my head. But it felt like something hit me in the back of my knee. Like how somebody comes up and just plays around, like they hit the back of your leg to
Hmm.
make you go down. And I
Hmm.
look down, and there's blood going down on my right tennis shoe. I was like, oh no. So I opened the bathroom door. The girl that's working there comes around, and my sons are standing there. I was like, I told them what happened. You need to call 911. And I was like, I'm fine. I said, but I need to sit down. So she goes, I took first aid. I know what to do. At that time, I still had my EMT certification. I just didn't even get it out of my mouth. I was an EMT or anything. So the first person that showed up, the fire station is right beside the gas station. The first person that showed was a police officer who I knew in the first, I knew who I
Hmm.
know him and everything. He goes, Nancy. I said, don't even ask. He goes, where's I said, I have it that's secured, and I gave it to him. He goes, where's the bullet? I said, right there underneath the sink. That thing was still whole, and it didn't even do anything. It
Oh
was,
my goodness.
and I was just like, okay. So I heard the fire department coming, and I told that girl, I said, I'm going to pass out. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to pass out. I heard them trying to talk to me, but that was it. I don't remember anything else until I'm in the back of the unit and they use that smelling salt stuff, which we all hate. And I woke up. So he goes, I know you. And I said, I know you too. And I gave him the name of the rescue squad. He goes, oh, yeah, we'll take care of you. I said, all right. He goes, well, I hate to cut your pants. I said, I don't care. So they found the entrance wound and the exit wound. And so we get to the hospital. And of course, everybody I know there too from running on the rescue squad and everything, we're laughing and joking and carrying on. And so they do the x-ray and everything. And come and so my son I live with and our business partner was in the room with me, and they asked if I wanted something to eat, and the guy went and got Burger King for us. So, we were just waiting for them to come back with the results of the x-ray. I was pretty busy that day. So I'm sitting there, and the nurse comes in. She goes, "You in any pain?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "So what can you have?" I said, "Well, I'm allergic to morphine, codeine, and Vicodin." I said, "I've had Percocet before and didn't have a reaction," not thinking that's along the lines of a narcotic. So she gives me two, and I'm sitting there eating French fries, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm gonna get sick. I'm like, I'm not feeling good. Something is wrong. And that was the last thing I said. My son goes, my face went from fire engine red, redder than that, to white as a ghost. He watched the monitor got dropped from 70, 60, 30. He goes, then you flatline. And I'm just like, I don't remember anything. But this is what
Wow.
happened. Now, this is what I'm telling you, the Lord works. So, in the process of all this, there were some bounty hunters that, well, they were bounty hunters, but they did things illegally and everything. And I had been to the local FBI office and helping them out with some. And I did work with the FBI about different things and people that they were looking for and everything. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I thought I was dreaming. So to me, it was a dream, but it probably is not a dream. So here we are. It's me and this FBI guy running out, chasing after these other two guys, and he went into these woods. So it's a field and it's woods. It's black. I mean, it's dark. You can't see your hands in front of your face. The only light that's there is the light from the helicopter, from the police helicopter right there. So
Hmm.
it's nothing else. You can't see anything. It's so dark. And most people know me from back then. Like, you tell me you not going, Nancy, you can't do this. I'm going to show you that I can. Or you can't catch me and I'm going to show you that I can catch you. So they run into the woods and they're taunting me, saying, "Aha, you two chicken to come in here. You're not going to follow us. You're not, on and on like that." So
Right.
we stop and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going in there. I'm going to catch him." And he turns and he goes, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Yeah, I can help you." Turns to me face to face. He goes, "You're not going in there." I was like, "Why? I can help you. I know what they look like. I can find them for you. Help you find them." And he takes his hands, puts his hands on my face, and looks at me right square in the face. He goes, "No, you can't go in there." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because there are people who need you more out there than they need you in here. You go back." And I woke up.
Wow.
When he told me, "You need to go back," I woke up and I heard the girl yelling in my ear. I knew someone was doing chest compressions, and there was 12 people around my bed. And I heard the doctor, "She's back. We've got her back." And I was thinking to myself, "Why'd you wake me up from my dream?" And then I realized, oh, that wasn't a dream. And I'm like, okay, the Lord has bigger plans for me than I even know myself. And when everything was, they were going to keep me overnight. They put a heart monitor on and everything. When I saw the doctor, well, when I was being transported, the guy that was doing the transport, I had worked with him on the rescue squad. He goes, "They didn't show you anything? They didn't tell you anything?" Like, no. So he showed me a strip of a minute and a half that I was gone. And I'm like, that is impossible. He goes, "It's right there." I said, "I know, but it's impossible." um, I was like,
Wow.
that doctor then, that was in January 1st, 2007. She goes, "No, no more narcotics for you." She goes, "I don't care prescription wise, recreational wise." She goes, "Your heart won't be able to handle it." Now I know why my heart can't handle it, because there's a birth defect in my heart. So, but my oldest son, he goes, "Did you see a bright light?" Because everybody talks about walking to a bright light and everything.
Hmm.
I'm like, "No, I saw the light from the helicopter when we were chasing people." And it was like, oh, I was like, so, everybody's experience is differently. So
Yeah.
probably like 6 months or so ago, we were talking. It was after the pacemaker put in and everything. We were talking, and I said, well, only, talk about gone a minute and a half. He goes, Mom, he goes, no, you won't. I'm like, what do you mean? You were dead for 3 minutes. So everybody kept saying, you died, you died, you died. I'm like, I didn't die. And I'm like, you realize, he goes, he's the one that saw it. He knows what happened. He saw the flat line. And he goes, no, you were gone for 3 minutes. I'm like, no way. He goes, I saw it. He goes, it was 3 minutes. I'm like, wow. Because they say 6 minutes without oxygen, you start to have brain damage. But I'm just
Hmm.
like, no way I was gone. No. And to me, to this day, it still felt like a dream. But it makes,
Right.
and the more I talk about it, the more I realize, I watched the dream that, and that's not the only time that I'm telling people that Satan will try to take you out when God has a call in your life. So many times.
Absolutely.
And I do have a video about things that, I've been through. I shouldn't be here, but God
Hmm.
has a purpose. And that's the major one was, I died and came back, and people go, huh? I want to hear that story. So it's like I did a video. That's why I did a video explaining all the different things I've been through. I will probably need to update that video also and put about the pacemaker in there too.
We get the abridged version here. And
Yeah,
if you want to hear the full story, then you need to go and check out Nancy's channel, Our Treasured Home, and look for the video about her death experience and coming back after that was after shooting yourself in the leg, right?
yeah. See, people say that. Oh, they used to. I got teased so much about that. I'm like, how can that happen? That absolutely fell and went backfired. I didn't shoot myself purposely. Oh, you shot yourself. Like, no, I didn't. I was like, it should be titled things. I think it's things I should have.
No, not on
Uh,
the computer, baby girl.
things that I should have not survived, or something like that. Um, but I'll let you know what it's titled so that we can
Oh,
put it in the comment.
now you've you have a variety of topics that you discuss on your channel. Um, you have fun things that you do with your granddaughter, and let's see, you do some crafting on there too, don't you, with her?
Yeah, we've done crafting videos. She's made things. I do sewing and crochet, and I'm looking at seeing about getting a certificate in teaching crochet. So I'm always learning something, always trying something new, always, I guess you pushing
Yeah.
that mark and or whatever. And it's like always 100 things and everything, because it used to be, because I did get that mindset with my hands and everything. I can't do this and I can't do that. And especially when I became disabled in 2010, it's like it was really difficult to do things. And now it's like, okay, all right, Lord, since I can't really go walk and I've got this and that and the other, I have degenerative disc disease from the top of my head to my tailbone since the early 2000s. Um,
Hmm.
I had carpal tunnel surgery. I have fibromyalgia. I'm like, all right, 708 deaths. Back in 2021, we found out that L5 fused itself to S1. And every time a doctor or somebody hears that medical, oh, you had surgery. I'm like, no, what does fused itself sound to you like? It doesn't sound like surgery. So, osteoarthritis in both hips. And I'm just like, okay, all right, so since this is not working, things I can't do, all right, Lord, show me what I can do so I can, share. And so that's how this came about. I can sit and talk. I can use my mouth. I've had the surgery, so now, my hands
Hmm.
and everything. So basically, there was a lot of talking during the time when I couldn't use my hands. So, but yeah, we do crafts. I do sewing. I I'm self-taught, just learning how to sew because I always wanted to learn. And then couple of people try to, that's on all on there, showing me how to sew and everything. I still look up videos to do that. Crocheting, I've been doing that since Anastasia was born, so I kind of know a little bit about a little bit.
Right.
But I did teach Rebecca how to do a blanket.
She
And
was telling me about that.
yes, she
Um,
was so excited because, and then like I said, there's so many videos, and you find one that you understand and everything. So she wanted to learn this, the granny square. I said, gotta grandma. She has this cool one. Rebecca just like it went, and like some things like me, I just don't comprehend. I'm like, so maybe I could find a different video. So I said, all right, Rebecca, I'll teach you how to make this blanket. And that's what I did. I taught her how to make that blanket. And so I was like, she goes, go get your certification so you can teach more.
she's so excited about that blanket. She's
She
shared it with me. But so, and now you also, we know that you've got something special going on your channel. You've got a purpose. And this is one reason I've been so excited to have you on here and help share you out. One of the reasons I actually found your channel, you showed up in my news feed here a while back, and I listened to the story that you shared, and it really hit home for me. I've had some interesting things happen in my own life, and the story that you shared was kind of like a flashback for me.
right.
And so it touched deep, it touched a nerve for me. And the one that I'm referring to is your Uber driver experience.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, I was so mad about that.
The nerve it took to share that story publicly. And you had some hit back on that with people questioning you about it and having to explain yourself. And that, I personally think that you should not tell the whole story. Just give a little teaser about it, so that people will go and listen to it for themselves. But just
Okay.
tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So, all right. My son and daughter-in-law, they were both working. So it used to be where it was only on Fridays to go to have any test done at the doctor or whatever. So with the insurance I have now, they pay for the ride to go to the doctor and for you to come home. Well, they were doing all kinds of different things, and they use Uber and other ride places and everything. So, um, when this happened, I was going to my hand. I was acting up, and I was like, I'm not going back to the same doctor because I don't want him to say he's got to do surgery. I don't want to see if the surgery actually worked with the carpal tunnel. So, didn't put it together that I was eating beef and all again at the same time. This started acting up because I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this. And this is normal. I have to do it this way. I need to exercise my hand. But it was like numb and tingling and everything. I was like, okay. So I made a schedule for a different orthopedic to get a second opinion and everything. And when you get that feeling, your gut feeling, something's not right, don't do it. And I'm just like, well, I've already, I've canceled doctor's appointments before, but I was just like, I'll just go. It's going to be all right. So, and with the way they do it, even with in the mornings, they'll text you who the driver is, give you a picture of their car, make, model, and everything else. And I'm just like, okay. Didn't look very, I don't want to say he looks sketchy, but I'm just like, I'm just like, so I'm just like, something's not right. But just going to go ahead and go. So we get in the car, everything's going fine until we get to the exit he's supposed to be taking. And I see it on it because he's got his phone right there to put up and have the map and everything. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's the exit. He goes, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. That's the exit. And he starts telling me he needs to go up to the next exit. I'm like, no, you need to take that exit. And so he starts arguing with me, and I'll just firmly say, you're going to take this exit. This is where I need to go. Then he's trying to tell me that I didn't give the right information. I didn't call in the right information and everything. I said, would you like me to call the transport company right now? Or I can call 911. And so he got off. He did take me where I was supposed to go because I like you. I mean, you have something up your sleeve, and you weren't going to do something right, or someone said, "Well, he may want to take the long way." I said, "No, that's not what was going on." Because if he got
You
upset,
know,
yeah,
you know, in in your spirit, you know deep
yeah,
down when something's off, and there's a whole lot to that story. And I encourage you to go and listen to Nancy tell the story. And as she's telling it, you know,
yeah,
and it just it brought back so much to me for certain situations that I found myself in. And um, as a woman, you know when a man's up to no good.
mm-hmm. You're exactly right. And
You
like
know.
exactly, and experiences I had through my marriage of being in domestic violence and then security and everything. And my mom used to have a fit. Why do you want to do that? I said, well, I can't be a cop, so I'm going to do this instead. What this? And I was always, downtown Richmond, and I was like, I knew to handle situations. So many times, I talked people down, what they were doing. And, in that different situations, the tone of voice you need to use and how to keep stuff distant and everything. My brother bought me that huge mag light and everything. He goes, at least you could use for self defense. I was like, yeah, and I've got other things I know how to do. Since I was in high school, the girls would always come to me and go, Nancy, if we're out somewhere, and this is, 1986, 87, 84, 85, 86, 87, high school. We had six, ABC, NBC, and CBS. There was,
Mhm.
you had cable, but nothing like now. We didn't have cell phones or whatever. What do you do if this blah 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 happened? And I don't know what or how or why they knew that I would know how to defend stuff and do things like that, but they all did. I don't remember talking about it, but it
I
was
think it's
like,
from all the crime dramas that were out at that time. I think that's where we learned because I remember watching all those shows like there's Miami Vice and Hawaii Five O and
Magnum PI.
Magnum PI exactly. We watched those shows growing up, and you learn.
Yeah,
You just you have
exactly.
to learn somehow.
And I told them, especially when you're driving, take three right turns. If the car does the same thing as you're doing, go to the fire department, go to a gas station, go somewhere public or whatever. Start blowing your horn because people don't know. Maybe your car has a leak and there's a gas
Mhm.
leak and car might be able to be blown up, but that person may not know. I'm like, and I've had road rage happen to me. Fortunately, we had cell phones at the time, so I was able to go on with 911. But no, back then we didn't, and
Yeah, I've
and
been followed home late at night, and where I live out in the country in a country mobile home park, and I have to go down a long, dark, unlit driveway to get back to my unit. And I knew if this particular vehicle was following me turn for turn for turn, and I knew I'd better not turn into our mobile home park. I just knew, and I kept kept turning, and I ended up going to where my parents live, not far from me. And so I turned into their subdivision, and I was going to stop at their house and just lay on the horn because I knew my dad had come out with
Mm-hmm.
his pew pew,
Yep.
and all the neighbors would come out. I knew that would happen. But fortunately, when I turned onto his road, they went ahead and they slowed down and watched, but they went ahead and drove on by. But they were absolutely following me. Everywhere I went, they were following me. And that's scary.
It is scary.
And I
Another
had
thing
my
you could
son
do,
with me.
I know, do a brake check. People don't think about that, but
Yeah.
it really surprises the person behind you because they don't know what you're going to do, and you can always go, "Oh, there was a dog ran in front of me, or a cat, or there was a possum, or whatever animal that." And I've done that before, and I'm just like, and they get, I'm like, "Well, why?" And I'm like, "Why are you following me?" And because they pull up beside me or something or another. I said, "What's your don't be scared. You can be assertive and be strong at the same time because flip the cards around, because they want someone who's scared and timid and, they look weak or whatever. And they think all women are weak and scared
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And when you show that you're not, and I don't have my keys with me, but now I know we have key fobs and everything, but your house key, put it between your fingers like this and or your fingers like this. And if you get home and you don't feel, we have garages over here. Of course, we don't go out at night anymore, but and I don't know. There's woods right here. We don't know if somebody's standing there or whatever. But have your key ready to put in and turn. It also becomes a nice little tool that if someone comes up to you, all you have to do is kind of like poke them a little bit with that. It doesn't feel very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what the safety thing is on there on the channel. I have the playlist about safety awareness and everything because as a disabled female, people watch that more than anything. They watch girls and they watch kids. They even watch the guys. They watch your routine and everything. If that's the sicko that's out there. But even in the malls, and we used to sit and go mall watching all the time. But some people do it to watch people's patterns. So always be aware and go have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware of what's going on. But little things like that, now, with the keys, that's one thing I taught the girls in my high school. Take your keys, put them between your fingers. That way, when you go into the car, you can put in, turn it, and get in the car fast. If they come around and they scare you, or you've got that key in your hand, and it'll take nothing as if they trying to turn you around, you have your hand ready like this and just go across like that. You're going to catch something up here or something. They've gone to drop. They're going to sit there and go, and that gives you time to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's why the name changed from Ash's Treasure to Our Treasure Home because I wanted to expand. Because, here's my experiences. This is what I've done. Here's some tips to help y'all out.
Right.
Medical wise, safety wise, eating with food allergies, gardening wise, what I've learned and what works, what doesn't work, um, and just having fun with other things as far as the crafts go and everything. Learning to sew. Like I said, I always wanted to sew, but my mom goes, "Oh, you didn't know how. You don't need to learn how to do that." So, you know,
Yeah.
40 some years later, I'm learning how to sew, but I love it.
Yeah. So
So yeah, that guy, he was like, I knew he was up to something and no good. So when I actually got to that doctor's office that day, when I got upstairs to the walked in, I was like, thank you, Lord. The angels watching over me. I got upstairs. I told them what happened. And I did. I did report it to my insurance company. I reported it to the transportation company, and I reported it to Uber. And I'm just like, they know who was the driver on that ticket. It's a ticket number and everything. And I told them, do not ever send him to me ever again. I said, because I will cancel that ride. And I said, y'all be glad and have 911 on the phone with me, because you can do that. If you're in a
Mhm.
taxi cab or Uber and you don't feel comfortable and they're not going the way that you know they're supposed to be going, you can sit down, dial 911, put it on a speaker or leave it off the speaker, and just keywords, like you're not going the right way. um, this is the highway that we're supposed to be taking, but why are you on this highway? Stuff like that. You need to go to this road, but you're on this road. They can hear you, and you can put it, by the time put it on speaker, but it's like they'll know not to say anything.
Mhm.
Just to listen, and they're tracking because you're giving them the instructions and details where you at, what you in. Because like I said, with Uber, they give you the make model of the car, and and you can start saying, oh, but they said this is your car here, da 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 da, and don't either they catch on or they don't catch on, and you be given the information out.
Yeah. That's really good advice. Really good advice. So we're almost to the end of our 2 hours. And is there anything that you would especially like our viewers to know? Um, Anything that you would like to promote about either channel?
Um, well, the Our Treasure Home is Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. I go live, and I try, like I said, I do it late night so that, well, one, everybody's asleep, but I do it late night so that people who are in different time zones and everything, they can come and join in the chat or they watch the replay. Friday
What
night,
time? What time do you go live?
Monday nights it's usually 10:30 or 10:45. I've been doing 10:45 here lately.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, because I
Okay.
go upstairs with Anastasia and spend some time with her. We watch a couple of videos. I do devotions with her and everything, and then, you know, so by the time we finish, it's almost 10:30. So I've been doing 10:45 on Monday nights. Wednesday nights, I try to do 11, 10:45 or 11 o'clock. Saturdays are definitely 11 o'clock at night and p.m. And that's Eastern time. So like Central will be 1, Mountain is 2.
No, it'd be
So
earlier than that.
yeah, 11, 10, 9, 8. I like. I used to
It'd
know
be
these when I
7,
woke up.
7:30, 8:30, 9:30, and then 10:30.
Right. And
Okay.
then on Friday nights, cooking dairy free and alpha-gal, I go live Friday nights at 11 o'clock. That's just so that in case I need a nap or something other, or getting things prepared, or there's a phone call or something other that happens, I know that I've got all that. I got a little time way to get that done. So like this week, so tonight on Cooking Dairy Free and Alpha-Gal, I go live at 11. Saturday would be Our Treasure Home at 11. And Saturday night's a Bible study, because I just like, but the Lord was like, and I don't just want to go live and just general talk. I mean, I can't do that. I need a specific subject to talk about.
Mhm.
So, and Rebecca is kind of like my soundboard board. Her and I go back and forth with different ideas and everything. So
Mhm.
she goes, "Yeah, you want a theme?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want a theme." So that's what I came up with, and
That's awesome.
I was like, "That's 4 nights a week." I'm like, "Okay, Lord," I'm like, "You have to give me the strength to do this, because it's all going to be on you." because you know what needs to be done, you know what needs to be said. And I was like, he just like, nope, here's the schedule. Let's go for it. I'm like, all right, let's go for it. And people think sometimes I'm like, I wonder what people think. I talk about my Heavenly Father, but I'm just like, that's what He is, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And I'm just like, my mom passed away in 2010, my dad passed away in 2017, and I didn't have nothing to do with them because of family issues and everything. I said, so God said, I will be a father to the fatherless. And
Mm-hmm.
I accept that because He is my Heavenly Father and He knows more and sees more than I do. And so that's how all this is coming about with all the lives and everything. And I'm doing videos. I need to do a garden update and everything, and I'll be making some more food videos. I'm like, I finally caught up. I'm just like, oh, I'm all caught up. I need to make some videos.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just,
okay.
just staying busy, and then I got classes I'm doing. Not that I'm a sponsored or anything, but people on Hillsdale College in
Awesome.
um, Michigan offers free classes, online free classes.
Yes, they do.
I'm just like, and I have I registered with every single one that they have. The one I like the most is the one about C.S. Lewis so far. And I was like, that's a really interesting class. I even done the mathematics and physics, and I'm like, I've gotten halfway through it. I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done this, but I'm like, I'm curious because I like math, but I'm just like, how does this all work together? And I'm always asking questions. So that's what my doctor said he liked about me was I asked questions. I saw the allergist yesterday, and I had a ton, 20 questions for her and everything. She goes, you ask a lot of questions. I was like, yeah, because I want to know. I want to know what's causing this. What's going on with my body? Why do I have, what caused the allergies? Because I didn't have them before, and now I do. And
Yeah. It's good to stay curious
yes, it
and
is.
learn.
And
So,
I say, always learn one thing every day.
absolutely.
Is
Absolutely.
my thing. Learn something new every day, or one thing every day. And uh, to me, that's just a way to stay alive. And thank God that I am alive every single morning. I wake up and thank Him because I was like, okay, what do you have for me today? Because I know the list I had, and it's never. Sometimes it's just like this. Okay, Lord, I've got this, and this to do. And as soon as I start, my phone starts the text messaging. Something's going on. Somebody needs to talk. I'm like, okay, well, okay, Lord, that's going to be put to the side because you're bringing this person for a reason. Something's happened. And, so it's like, okay, that's good. It will, some things you can wait, people can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's what part of our treasure home and the different memberships and everything. So no one, I've not yet had anybody do the $24.99, but that's okay. But Rebecca sits there and she'll text me, how do you cook this? Or how would you cook this? Or what's this herb for? And
Yeah.
so I don't mind.
Mhm.
We have fun. And like I said, one thing I got, that right there, not that one, that right there is a herbal
Mhm.
certificate that I finished the class. So I want to do her next class, but I was like, I got to save up for it and everything, and then get the book too. So
Very good. Very good. Well, Nancy, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your life, sharing your love of learning, your knowledge. Um, you have so much to offer, so much to share with us, and I hope and pray that others will check out your channels. Um, take advantage of the the knowledge that you have to offer, and the fun. Some of the videos that I've watched with you and your granddaughter are just so much fun. You just enjoy life so much, and truly embrace the day. And
Exactly. And she had, when she was, even now, like, there's nothing scripted. She just comes out with what she says, and I just left it there. Some lives, they go, well, you can go edit it out. I'm like, why? I'm like, that's part of her. Even the videos. So sometimes we had to restart videos because we were laughing so hard.
yeah.
But when she says something, and I'm like this, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe she said it.
Yeah. But I do want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank our audience for being here. Thank you for sitting through 2 hours of your day,
Oh yes, definitely.
enjoying listening. And I want to thank those of you who are here on replay. Thank you for coming and taking time out to catch the replay. You truly are important and valued here on this channel and others as well. If you would take a moment to hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. If you have any questions for Nancy, please leave those in the comment section so that we can go back and catch those. Excuse me. We will go back and answer those questions to the best of our ability. And we will leave a link in the comment section, and I will pin it at the top, a link to Nancy's book so that you can go and check that out as well. And my schedule for the next couple of weeks may be interrupted to some degree. We're recording this video on Friday, the 8th, and I just found out this morning that my father-in-law has passed away. And I don't know what my schedule is going to look like for the next couple of weeks. But my intentions are to continue with my normal schedule of Meet Me Monday on Mondays at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, 3 o'clock Eastern. Talk About It Tuesday on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Eastern. And Your Thoughts for Thursday on Thursdays, hopefully. We are wrapping up our series on the names of God. I have a video that just released yesterday, August 7th. The premiere got rescheduled. YouTube rescheduled it for me. I had it scheduled to go out at 1 o'clock yesterday, and they changed that time for me to Friday
Thank you
at
for
1
doing
o'clock.
that. They've done that to me also on videos.
Yeah, and so I went in and rechanged it again to yesterday at 3:30, and it did not go over well. So if you would go and check that out, that would be really appreciated. But I will be getting another video ready to go out for this coming Thursday, and it will be the final chapter in our series on the names of God. And then I will plan our wrap up live after we have had our funeral for my father-in-law. It was voted on that we would have a live session where we could get together and discuss what we've learned, what we enjoyed, how we've been able to apply it to our lives, that sort of thing. And just have basically a gab session about
Oh yeah.
the series that we've just completed, and then vote on our next topic for your thoughts for Thursday, and that will be coming up in a couple of weeks when we do that live. So take advantage of those upcoming opportunities here on Lewis Acre Farm, and please do go and check out our treasured home and cooking dairy free and alpha gal with Nancy. The links to her channels is available to you in the description for today's premiere. And it would bless me to know that you have gone and taken at least taken a look at her channels. And I know that she would be truly honored to have you there and become a part of her family. So with that, I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for spending so much of your day with us. And I will see you next time right here on Lewis Acre Farm. Catch you later, guys. Thank you.